Hi guys, MrRoflWaffles here. This is your ultimate guide to Astra Malorum, covering everything you need to know, such as what perks you can find on the map, where they are, how you get your Pack-a-Punch, what the deal is with the new mini-boss, the traps that are on the map, Wonder Fizz details, the Easter egg song, a bunch of secret little Easter eggs that you can do in all your matches, and more. So without further ado, let's begin. Before you jump into your match, I recommend you research the Mule Kick augments, because they're absolutely amazing. And you don't want to start getting progress on something that you're not even going to ever use, like maybe the Mr. Peaks field upgrade or something like that, if you could instead be making Mule Kick progress. So select that, and also make sure while you're there that you've applied augments to all the carryover content, because alongside Astra, Tesla Storm and Light Mend and Shatter Blast and stuff like that were added back into the game, and you need to select the augments that you want to use for those if you've already made progress on the unlocks for them in Black Ops 6. So do that. Then for gun recommendations, I think the Nova line is a really great option here. The Akita, obviously, especially if you're playing Cursed, fantastic for points, but there is an Akita wall buy, so you don't have to spawn in with it. And you could use the Jaeger if you wanted, although they were nerfed during the sort of Ashes launch season. So at this point, there are some better options, I'd say, out there. The SK is something that a lot of people like. And I think overall on this map, anything that's fairly mobile is also just going to be a good fun weapon to use. So let's give you a quick overview of the map now. You're going to spawn in the crash site area, and here you'll find old Tessie, who's crash landed following the events of the intro cutscene on this map. You'll also find Quick Revive and the Rampage Inducer as always. Once you start opening up, you'll get to the Luminarium, and that's on the left-hand side, and that's where you'll find Juggernog. You'll also find an armory station there, as well as the Stellar Dissector trap, which you need a couple of parts for, which we'll talk about a little later. Moving on, you've got Museum Infinity, which is actually a really cool space. It's full of museum exhibits, which you can hear audio for if you interact with the museum benches. And there are a few Easter egg parts that you can pick up in here as well, alongside some side quest things like a skull that you can grab out of one of the cases. It's also where you'll find the Speed Cola machine, and there's a crafting bench in there as well. Moving on from the museum, we've got the Machina Australis. This is a solar system little model thing in the air, and there's a little library in there as well. And it's where you'll find Stamina Up, a second armory station, and an armor wall buy as well. Then moving on, we've got the Stargazer's Courtyard. There's another armor wall by here, and there's the Apogee Annihilator firework trap, which is pretty explosive. Then moving to Abyssal Rim, you've got an absolutely incredible view of the map's skybox here, and it's a really glorious skybox, so definitely worth drinking in that view. You can find a little bit of intel just perched on the ledge on this little precipice, but be careful not to fall off because you will take a lot of damage. However, you will not die like Moon, so the map's a little bit more forgiving in that regard, which is quite nice. In this area, you'll also find Wisp Tea, another armor wall buy, and a crafting bench. Then we can head over to the Veil Walk, and that's where you'll find the new Mule Kick machine. And then finally, the Observatory Dome is home to the Pack-a-Punch, and that's kind of the top end of the map. Now that might seem like it's going to be the final location on the map, but it's actually not. There's another secret location that you can get to, and it's Mars, which is a bit of a mind-blowing thing to see, but it's actually a real thing, and we'll talk about that a little bit more later in the video. So now that we've explored the map a little bit, let's talk about the power and Pack-a-Punch process. We'll be very brief here because in standard mode, it does show you how to do it on your screen. You just need to find two harmonic components, and these do have different spawn points in different games, but one is always going to be found generally around the Luminarium area, and the other will be found generally around the Machina Australis area. And you can, for example, go up the stairs there and you'll find a little body on the floor, and one of the canisters will be next to that body, and things like that. Once you've grabbed both of them in your game, you'll take them to the harmonic oculus inside the observatory dome, and you'll attach them to it, and then you'll start a little lockdown sequence and defend the harmonic oculus for 45 seconds, and then Pack-a-Punch will be available to you. The Pap camo in this map is kind of unique looking because it's a blend between a sort of gold camo and almost like a dark mattery style camo. I think it looks fairly interesting. Certainly looks better in-game than it did in the previews, in my opinion. I really don't mind how it looks in the game. And once you open up the power and Pack-a-Punch and you've done all that stuff, you'll also get access to the fast travels on the map. So These work sort of similarly to the jump pads in Ashes, except these are direct fast travels. They are not going to send you flying through the air. One is going to spawn in the crash site, and one's going to appear in the observatory, and you can use those to travel between the two locations. Now, as you're going through the rounds, you'll notice the special rounds are very unique in this map. Ravagers are present once again, following a reprised return from Ashes of the Damned, and the difference in this map is that when a special round begins, you'll see meteors start raining from the sky and turning into meteorites, crashing into the structure that you're on, the asteroid that you're flying on, and doing a pretty large amount of damage to you and knocking you around if they hit you directly. So, might be a good idea to stay inside for those special rounds, take out those Ravagers, and then proceed with your game. Now, as you go through the game and you're doing things like Power and Pap, you're also going to end up getting your first Oscar spawn. He seems to spawn a bit more frequently than something like a Xursa, like he's not on a sort of 4-round cadence or anything like that, but he won't target you unless you're in his line of sight. So that means you can just leave him to roam the map, and he almost acts a little bit like a cross between a George Romero and a moon astronaut. He's also very beefy, and you need to take him down in a specific way if you want to actually kill him. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. How exactly does he work and what does he do? Well, if you aggro him and you get him into combat mode, he'll chase you down and fire red UFOs at you, and if they hit you, you'll become marked, and zombies around you will gain red eyes, and they will basically start super sprinting towards you and being much more aggressive. Oscar can also deal a lot of damage to you if you get close in proximity to him, and if you do want to kill him, you need to take out the UFOs that orbit him, and that will expose him, and he'll then be able to take damage, and you can crit his various limbs in order to try and take him down a bit sooner. However, it's usually a little easier to use traps on him because he does take so much damn ammo to take down. So let's talk about the traps a little bit here. We've got the Apogee Annihilator that I mentioned earlier. That's going to launch kind of fireworks all over the place, and it will do damage to you as well if you're not careful, so be wary. There's also the Stellar Dissector in the Luminarium, which is a laser trap that goes around the entire room and also does damage to the player, and that's even with PhD as well. Now, the Stellar Dissector is actually used for the main quest Easter egg to take out Oscar, and you can actually ultimately get a free wonder weapon from it. Now, the free wonder weapon guide is going to be linked on my channel because it's a fairly in-depth little process to go through. But with the Stellar Dissector specifically, you're going to end up from those steps getting a damaged UFO, a wire, a Tessie battery, and something else that's slipping my mind right now, but I'll put text on screen because I can't remember. Listen, it's 7 a.m. I'm pushing myself here to make this video. But there's another part that you get from somewhere, and that all goes into the Luminarium trap in order to sort of activate it for those Easter egg steps. Now, another thing that's returning from Ashes is the Wonder Fizz. This is going to work similarly to how it does in Ashes, where once you've purchased 4 perks or reached round 25, the Wonder Fizz will spawn in, and it will spawn in the Stargazer's Courtyard. And this now also means that because Mule Kick's been added to the game, if you want to buy that perk on Ashes, you need to obtain it from the Wonder Fizz in that map. So let's talk about Mule Kick a little bit now. It works similarly to previous games where it allows you to hold 3 guns, but in this game, the game indicates which gun is your Mule Kick gun by denominating it a 3 on your HUD. This means it's very easy to say, okay, I want my Mule Kick gun to be a gun that I don't mind losing when I down, so I'm going to swap my guns around with some other guns that I've left on the floor from the mystery box or something, so that I get my precious guns into slots 1 and 2, and then they will never be at risk. However, the augments, amongst other things, like allowing you to carry more stock ammo, can also protect that third weapon for you, so that's just going to come down to how you decide to set it up. Now let's talk about the Wonder Weapon, because maybe you're going to want to use that as one of your 3 weapons once you buy Mule Kick. This is one of the most unique Wonder Weapons I think we've ever seen in Call of Duty Zombies. It looks very Infinite Warfare themed, Zombies in Spaceland themed, and it's actually got a little alien man sitting inside the gun itself, which is interesting because we keep seeing weapons that kind of have spirits or personas or voices. Think back to Reckoning in Black Ops 6 Zombies. Remember how we got that Gorgafex wonder weapon? And then thinking forward from there over to Ashes, doesn't the gauntlet seem like it has a bit of a personality? It almost feels like it's alive when it's walking around on your arm when you do your weapon inspect. And now we have a little alien dude inside this gun. So seems to be a theme that Treyarch is really iterating on at this point. Like I said, You're going to be able to get it from doing the free Wonder Weapon Easter egg quest, which I've linked in the corner of the screen and in the description of the video. And once you get it, you'll see that this is also an infinite ammo Wonder Weapon, just like the Gauntlet was. This one works a little bit differently though, because you're going to shoot out all your bullets or discs or UFOs, and then it's going to recharge. And once you pack a punch it, you're going to get more ammo in your magazine, which is going to allow you to fire more UFOs before you have to wait for that recharge. It also is quite an interesting weapon because it sort of acts like the Outbreak from Destiny, where it's essentially going to fire a nanite swarm, except the nanite swarm in this game are just a swarm of UFOs that are sort of going to latch onto an enemy and then damage it over time and do continuous tick damage. And this means that you can use it in quite interesting ways on bosses and things like that, to sort of erode their armor and stack damage while you switch to another weapon and shoot the boss or shoot the zombie or what have you with that. This makes it pretty unique. We've not really had any Zombies Wonder Weapons that I can really think of that have had this particular type of utility. And alongside its very unique aesthetic, I think that this is one of the cooler Wonder Weapons that we've ever actually had. Now, let's talk a little bit about some side quests and some little sneaky things that you can do in your game to get powered up a bit faster. But actually first, you know what? Let's talk about the opposite. Let's talk about something you can use to scare the hell out of your friends. So inside the observatory, you can use this viewfinder once you've activated all of the gassy valves that are around the observatory interior. And if you interact with it and you then look for the sun, that's what you'll use to do one of the Oscar steps for the free Wonder Weapon. If you look for Mars, that's what you'll use to get some of the codes that you need for the main quest Easter egg. But if you roam around on that view, you should be able to find a skull floating in space. And if you hover your crosshair over that, you'll get a massive jump scare. And this is a great thing to trick your friends with. It's really spooky if you're not expecting it. Speaking of Easter eggs, let's talk about the Easter egg song real quick. This is a Mr. Peaks activation, just like we've seen in previous Zombies maps, except this one's a little bit more punishing because it makes you go to Mars. And Mars is fairly deep through the main quest Easter egg. So the first Mr. Peaks headphones location is on the bottom shelf here, to the left of the exit door in the Luminarium. The second is an item display box southwest of Machina Australis. You can find the part just here. And then the third, like I said, is on Mars. If you're facing away from where you spawn in, it's going to be on the left-hand side. And once you activate that, you will play the Easter egg song in this map. And there's also a second Easter egg song that can be activated from Mars, which involves you shooting, I think, the nostrils of the large head outside the map. That's going to play Pareidolia, which is the Easter egg song from Shang. So you're probably wondering, how the hell do you get to Mars? Well, it's a fairly complex process, and it actually is most of the main quest Easter egg to get there in the first place. So I'm going to link the main quest Easter egg in the description of this video and in the corner of the screen right now, but just to sort of give you the spark notes, you're going to get the Wonder Weapon, then you're going to do a little lockdown and some stuff with a brain, and you're going to then bring that over to the Machina Australis, and you then have to do a couple of extra bits with extra codes, such as the code from the Mars declination, and you're going to enter the codes on the busts to get the extra planet. Then you're going to put that onto the solar system above you, and you're going to correctly configure that based on the papers that you can find around the map. And then you're going to do a lockdown and defend the lockdown sequence from the Oscar attacks, and then you're going to be able to go to Mars. So fairly complicated, like I've said, but once you're there, you can activate your Easter egg song just fine. And you can also come and go as you please for free, which is pretty cool. Now, speaking of free, if you want a free double points, if you go to the third floor of the Machina Australis area, under a painting with a castle on it, in this cupboard, you'll find a free double points. So shoot that and you'll get your power up. There's another one or two of these things that I can show you real quick. So for another one, if you come over here and you basically copy what I'm doing, shooting where I'm shooting, you'll get another power up. And if you come over here and you do the exact same thing, just copy what I'm doing, shooting where I'm shooting, you'll also get another. So free stuff is nice, but if it's just power-ups, maybe that's a bit boring. Maybe you want a free perk side Easter egg. Okay, so let's do that now. There are multiple skulls around Astra that you need to pick up. And the way you're gonna activate these skulls to make them interactable in the first place is you're gonna shoot them with a pack-a-punched gun. So The first skull location is in the Museum Infinitum inside this display cabinet. We're going to break the cabinet open, and then we're going to shoot it with a papped gun to make its eyes glow, and then pick it up. The next is in the Stargazer's courtyard inside of this zombie barrier. Do the same process. Pick it up. The next is in the Machina Australis area inside this display cabinet. So similar to that first one, we're going to make sure we also then shoot it with our Pack-a-Punch gun and then pick it up. Next is in the Veil Walk. This one's going to be wedged in this brick wall. This kind of gives me Revelations vibes a little bit, just the teeny bit here. And then in the Luminarium, you're going to find another skull in this corner. So that's 5 skulls in total that you'll be grabbing. Then you're going to go to the same spot that I'm in right now in the Machina Australis area. And one by one, you'll place the 5 skulls down on these red markers on top of this chest of drawers. They'll then do a little dancey dance and raise into the air in an order, and you need to shoot them in the order, and you'll get your free perk. So real quick, we've talked about Oscar and we've talked about the Ravagers. I want to talk about the fact that Uberklaus is in this map, which is kind of surprising, but he is there. It's just that he's locked behind exfils. So if you want to fight Uberklaus or you want to exfil, then you're in luck, because both are going to happen at the same time. You activate the exfil machine, and then it will be very similar to Ashes. It will spawn the Uberklaus in, and Uberklaus is weak to Cryo Freeze and Napalm Burst. So if you have those on your weapon, it's going to make your life a little bit easier. And I'd also suggest that you pick an exfil location as far away from Oscar as possible so that you don't have to face 2 bosses at once if you're trying to exfil. But let's say you don't want to exfil. What are you going to do in your early and mid game to sort of survive? In my opinion, you really are kind of okay in most areas of the map here. It's open enough that I've not had a huge amount of trouble, but I think that the likely thing that's going to happen is the community is going to find a trap strat that they really like, and they're going to just double down on that and spam the hell out of it. And I will make a guide on how to get to high rounds with whatever trap strat is found as soon as I can. And that will be linked on screen for you to click through to. So if you're getting through those rounds and you're like, yeah, I want to transition to something that's a little bit more serious, a little bit more professional, click through to that video, or potentially just get started on the main quest Easter egg. It's linked on screen right now as well. Click through. I'll see you there.